So now, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome on stage our guest from HTW Berlin, Christoph Sprung, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear organizers, thanks a lot for being here. It's a great honor for me. Thank you, Professor Kurskin, to invite me to this fantastic conference. Very great to talk to you. We humans have this extraordinary capacity of imagination and creativity. And we lecturers and supervisors have this privilege to be close to such great minds. And I would like to invite you in my presentation to join me on a journey of looking into three pillars. These are trust, exploration, and influence, of how to guide this marvelous energy to support great minds to flourish. Trust is one of the preconditions for growth and development. Without this, we wouldn't do anything. Let's be honest, no one can really predict the future. We might have an idea that gravitation, so physical constants, might be the same, or more or less the same, giving measurement and uncertainty tomorrow as today. But many other things we just anticipate and rely on our trust and faith that they will be the same tomorrow, or that they will unfold the way we would like them to be. So trust, if we look at it more from a technical point of view, it is the confidence that someone or some institution will provide or do a decision that is in favor of our shared common mission. In a more personal view, it is the willingness to be vulnerable, to share our deepest emotions and ideas or passions with someone whose reaction we can't predict or control. We just have to rely that the reaction we get will be based on our tacit mutual understanding of common shared values and that we will not be harmed at all. Now, what is trust for you? Well, that might be an interesting conversation for dinner tonight. When I looked at a bit in the literature for this topic, I came across one professor from Harvard University, Frances Fry. She, together with her colleague, Annie Morris, they researched about this topic, and they put down a triad for preconditions or a foundation for trust. On top, there is authenticity. There is. Authenticity, showing up the way you are, being who you are, and letting others know whom they can relate to actually show them or making them aware of who you are. Not being someone else or a puppy or a mask or something, just being who you really are. The second one has to do with communication. It is about conveying your message logically so that the other one can actually get your point. And the third one is empathy. The ability to tune in and anticipate someone's feeling, emotions, or what someone is going through. And at the same time, creating an environment which empowers other people to be authentic. Now, when we go into a more educational view on trust, the attainment, achievement, and performance of a student is directly related to the trust a teacher has or a supervisor has in the student. So these two aspects are part of the same coin. If a student loses the trust of its teacher, the teacher isn't really affected at all. It doesn't really matter so much, to be honest. But it has a significant influence on the achievement, attainment, and performance of that very student. Studies have proven that. And the same is true the other way around. So the best we can do is to trust that they will make it if we keep on trusting in them. Trust that they will make it on their terms. They might need a bit more time to process things, or they might actually be much faster in processing the things that we bring onto them than we anticipated. It depends on the individual. It could as well just be that they take many detours, which is fine. And then it's our responsibility to zoom out and have the overview and convey this confidence that they're on the right track. And any detour they take is just another learning experience on the way for them to reach where we want them to be. Or it could just be that they find a completely different route, a route we didn't anticipate. I was talking about creativity. So the idea I have of getting from A to B is just my idea. And it's just one of millions of options which are out there. And someone else might find a completely different way and reach from A to B on a very different route. So trust that they will make it if they want. Let's look at it from a different perspective, from the perspective of the student to the teacher or to the supervisor. Students bring the most valuable things they have to the table, which are their time and their energy, in this order of value. Most valuable thing we have as human beings is time. Second one is energy. And they just trust that whatever we do as lecturers or supervisors is going to excel them and make them progress and develop on the journey they are on. But they actually don't know. There might be good word going around for us behind our back, but until they really experience how it is to be in our lecture, to be in our research group, they will not know. So how much are we actually aware of this leap of faith that our students, our team members, our researchers bring onto us? Now, I was lately sitting when there was in early autumn, was nice weather in Berlin. I was sitting at one of the Berlin universities outside one of the institutions, and there was an entrance, and students come in and out, and students talk about what they're talking about, and I was just sitting there writing something. And then I overheard some of their conversations, and then I took some notes, and which I thought could be interesting. And let's see what they were talking about. Oh, it was just multiple choice questions we had in this course. Oh, interesting. This course is more fun than the other one. At least it's not just learning by heart. You just have to find someone to give you the best advice of how to get through. And the last one, oh, we just discussed basic stuff in this course. It's a lot of time for nothing. Oh, well, that's interesting. I completely agree with you that this is far away from a statistically significant sample, given the total amount of students that are around in Berlin. Though what struck me was, I can assure you, if I would be responsible for a company and my quality department came up with this random sample data to me, I would shut down the production immediately. I would have expected that students come out of lecture halls and university buildings and talk about, wow, what did we learn today? How inspiring was this lecture? How is our project going? What did I find out in the lab today? What became clear to me? But no, they were discussing how to get through a structure and how to pass the next exam. Well, how much are we aware of this leap of faith that is brought onto us as supervisors and lecturers? And how can we ensure that the time and the energy that they bring to the table is best possibly invested with us? One way is to give them room for exploration, room for creativity and curiosity. That's great. We need room to expand. We need room to explore. We need room to have our ideas become real and have the opportunities for that. And how much of these opportunities do we lecturers and supervisors have ourselves? You can't give what you don't have. So we have to make sure that our cup is full so that it runneth over and we can give more than we ever asked to get. I give lectures. I give seminars and workshops for lecturers as well, where I give courses in activating learning methods like problem-based learning and project-based learning and didactics, which is really great. I'm really inspired by these methodologies. And at some point I started asking them, what would you do if you had all the resources that you need? Anything you need, you will have it right now. What will you do? And then I asked them to write it down. Here are just 2 examples. It's all in German. I'll sum it up for you. And 4 parts I could extract from these ideas. The first one is time. They were asking for more time with their students, more time that they can freely use and when they use it. Not to say, okay, 8 o'clock in the morning until 10 o'clock each week we have this lecture. No, maybe it's we need more time, or we need a full weekend for that, or a whole week as such, and not every week once a semester. And more time with the students and more time to prepare for the lectures. The second wish they had were resources. Resources for materials, for laboratory space, for rooms that they can create and shape the way they need it, and resources perhaps as well to go on to excursions and travel to the places where they need to go and be to experience the actual content they want to talk about. The third one was being more individual for each of the students. Everyone has different needs. Some are more visual, some are more kinesthetic, some are more auditory. Give them what they need, to have the time and the freedom to be more on the individual and give the individual what they need to progress in their learning or in their development. And the fourth one is more freedom, flexibility, especially with all the regulations that are out there in our educational system. There has to be this exam, this type of credits going into this lecture, and so on and so on. Being way more flexible as well in the content that is incorporated. We have nowadays in the handbooks for what is incorporated in the course, the learning content, is sometimes just so much. It's like opening a brain and pouring everything in, because it's just the time we have. There's nothing more to process it, nothing time left to process it. So the freedom and the flexibility to take out some of the content and perhaps put some other content in that is more appropriate. At the same time, I have to say, there is loads of great things happening in education. When I listen to the lecturers, what they're doing and their stories, perhaps from their studies, loads of good things are happening and great ideas come about. And I must say it is happening despite the conditions and not because of it. I very vividly remember one story of one of the ladies that were part of my workshops. She studied philosophy, literature, and social science back in the days. And she very excitingly talked about one of her experiences she had in one of the courses. So they went, or her lecture, they took all the students to one of Nietzsche's houses. So, former houses, obviously. So the philosopher Nietzsche. So he took the whole course to the house of them and went down to the cellar of this house, of the old cellar, big wooden table, it's dark candlelight. And down there, the lecturer was sitting with his or her students, having wine and pizza and discussing heavy philosophy. And she so vividly remembered that. She lit up, and all the people sitting there in my workshop, they were so amazing. You could feel, I have goosebumps right now talking about it. How amazing is that to experience your learning content in this very environment where it is appropriate to feel it. Amazing. So we need freedom to explore, room to explore. But a room only exists if there are boundary conditions. We wouldn't call this one a room if we hadn't boundary conditions in all 6 facets. Well, now, great, he's talking about freedom and he's putting people now in a box or in a square. But our brain is requiring that. Our brain is requiring such boundary conditions to come up with this marvelous ability we have to dive into complexity and to find solutions and make sense out of the complex. And the great minds here in the room perhaps already figured that if you look at it from a different angle, there's loads of room above and below to find solutions. Wouldn't you agree that it would be totally different if I, on the one hand, lecture you on materials that make a building be stable and stand firm against wind and whatever it is needed, just the materials. On the other hand, I would lecture you on the conditions that are required. It needs to be stable, it needs to bear its own load, it needs to be stable for temperature conditions, precipitation, and wind it can bear. So whatever material you use, whatever it looks like, it should just be according to these conditions. Wouldn't you agree that these two groups would come up with totally different buildings, shapes, forms, and one might be way more creative than the other one? So give your students boundary conditions, or your employees for that matter, or your team members. Give them the appropriate boundary conditions which are general and which are reasonable as much as possible. Another aspect I want to highlight here is time. Time and the conditions we spend in time is shaping us. We became what we most spent time with. And we just have to decide. At some point in our lives, we come to a crossroad, and then we have to decide, we go left or right. I mean, none is probably better than the other, which we don't know yet, but it will make us to become one or the other. It is about the time we spend in this or that environment. So how can we, as the ones who paved the way, this one or the other one, ensure that joy, curiosity, and development is inherent in the way we pave? Set the conditions right and master the balance between skill and challenge. Any deviation from this diagonal will result in a performance which is less than optimal. If the challenges are too high, we are up with worry, arousal, not very desirable. If the challenges are too low, we are down to control, boredom, not very desirable either. Balance the conditions right. Tune in with the students and find out where they are and what kind of challenge they need. So by the way, are there any dancers in the room? Anyone dancing? Very good. If we think about any couple dances like ballroom dancing or salsa, kizomba, bachata, tango argentino, whatever you want. And now you as a follower, you as a leader, picture yourself at the dance floor, stand there at the rim of the dance floor, and you see this magnificent follower dancing obviously with someone else, but she's so amazingly moving her body, responding to every cue, and in every movement, putting even an individual touch to all the music. It just looks beautiful. And now it is your turn. Asking for a dance, she agrees, and now it's your turn. To what level of performance to get this follower to dance? Is it the same one as you saw it when you just were amazed by observing her dancing with someone else? Do you get your students to the performance level that they are capable of? That is the question. Maybe a little recipe that could help. First, tune in. Be empathic. See and feel where the other one is and where they need to go, what they need. Feel it, where they are in this moment of time. Be empathic. And then switch on your brain and find out, connect all the dots and find out the best possible way to support where they want to go. Maybe it helps. Set the conditions right. Skillfully challenge your students, your employees, your team members. Allow, encourage, demand, inspire, and support them to get out of their comfort zone. Allow them to create something that they're passionate about, something that they already know and want to learn more about, something they would like to experience, and encourage them to always put their best foot forward. In that way, you build a solid foundation of truth and faith in their abilities. so that at some point they'll become a natural in that and progress on their way. And the third pillar, it is influencing, stimulating people. We need to be close to people. We need to be willing to be close to people in order to stimulate and influence them. In here, I would like to use the word bilden. The German word bilden in double meaning. We bilden our students. Bilden is a word that came from Middle English back in the days, and it was used for physical things like to shape a bridge or to shape a cup or something like that. So for physical objects. And now it is as the word to build found in English dictionaries. In German language, we use this word in 4 senses. And I would like to introduce you to 2 of them. On the bottom left, we see one meaning we use it for persons. Persons in the sense of to educate and to develop. So to educate someone for a certain profession or to develop a certain skill. On the top right, we see another meaning that is used for objects. To shape, to form, to create something. I can shape a cup, for example, out of a bunch of clay. And if you now plug these 2 meanings into the equation I showed you in the slide before, we educate, form, and shape society. This is what we do as lecturers and supervisors. I totally agree that the amount of people we interact with is small compared to the billions of people that wander around on this marvelous planet called Earth. But it is the sum of collective mindsets that make up the whole. So embrace this great privilege, honor, and responsibility we have to educate, shape, and form our society. For this to happen, we need to be willing to be close and in interaction with people. We need to tune in, to be in resonance with people. So that can happen, for example, in two ways. One way would be to have the same mindset, a shared mindset, the same idea, a same mission, a same goal, a same dream. As well, we could have resonance because we have the same feeling, a same attitude towards something. We can only provide conditions for resonance. Resonance is voluntarily. The other part decides whether they want to be in resonance or not. For example, in our hotel room here in Amethyst, we have an old-fashioned radio. Some of you might remember that as an antenna, and you can switch it on and it perfectly works. But in order to actually receive what is out there in the ether and music or information, we have to set the right frequency in order for this device to be in resonance with the sender. And then we can actually listen and get the message across. The same is true with persons. The other one has to tune in, or we have to rely on that the other one is tuning in with us. We only can provide the best possible conditions. If we enforce resonance, it's gone. It is voluntarily. So focus on yourself, providing the best possible conditions. Be approachable. Be approachable for others so that they allow them to be able to tune in with you, with your ideas, your mindsets. Be authentic. Be clear about, for yourself, be clear about the values and principles you live by. So for the others, as we heard earlier, authenticity, who are you? So who do I know who I am? Be sure about yourself, values and principles. Have a keen sense of judgment. Be logic, reasonable, and judge by principles, especially that the others who are judged by you for one or the other reasons find it reasonable what you decide upon. Reasonable, logic, and based on principles. And fourthly, be disciplined. Walk your talk. You can talk a lot, that's fine. It matters what you bring to the table. This is what we're judged by. So make sure that you live your principles. Please get me right. Avoid being perfect by any means. Perfectionism is just an expression of fear and trying to satisfy outer expectations. Be at your best. Be at the best of your abilities at this moment, point in time, point in space and time. That's way more valuable. Be disciplined with your values so that we can relate to you and you show up as authentic as you can be. Create a mindset and a feeling of abundance at any time. There's enough for everyone. And make sure that you feel that you already have enough yourself. So that you get out of the way. Get yourself out of the way, especially out of your students' way. And let them succeed. Be of service to them. Show them how to progress and allow them to be successful. Let them go their way. It might lead them across mountaintops or through desert plains. It is their way. Give support and advice when you ask for it. And in any other case, provide the conditions that are sound and fruitful for them to grow and develop. Make sure that they have what they might need if they ask for it. Let them upskill. Trust in your own abilities, trust in their abilities. Make sure that they have the room to progress and develop. And be interested in them, their ideas, and provide the conditions that you can tune in with them. Be a beacon of light and treat them as they are what they ought to be in order to help them what they are capable of becoming. Awaken in them the desire and the passion to go about their dreams and visions to turn them into reality. And make the interaction with you be inspiring and an unforgettable experience. Thank you very much.
Yeah, danke schön, Christoph, for this. We have no idea how much effort you put into your presentation and the slides.
Nothing.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we have time for several questions.
Please.
Hello, my name is Maxim, but to just shortly discuss a question regarding to your presentation. Is what you have suggested only applicable to students like young people, or also everything is valid for for experience for mature educating person like workers? Yeah.
Yes, yeah, I would totally agree that it is for any age, and especially as well for companies. And
so this is not age-limited suggestions,
no,
right?
not at all,
Okay.
not at all. No, it is open for everyone, every mind that is developing, no matter what age it is. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much for the very great presentation and the very great talk. However, I don't know, maybe my question will be out of topic, but I think it's still on the topic.
Please.
My question is, do you believe in self-nurturedness? And in this way, I mean that it's great you have shown us that we should use our mentors and all our leaders as a beacon, and they should lead us way to success through whatever we want to achieve. But there is a concept of self-nurturedness in a way that a student or any other person would want to self-nurture themselves. In a way, I would say that a person would be more comfortable, would be more effective when they have nurtured themselves more than having a mentor. Do you believe in that concept, or any comment about this concept?
Well, I hope I understand you right. You go with your goal. Your mentors are just supporting you when you need it. A lighthouse is just there to warn you that there is a coast and you should go another way. They're not telling you where to go. They're just telling, maybe go a different way. So definitely, you go by your goals and your visions and your dreams. And your mentors, you ask them for advice. is this a good idea? You share your ideas with them and they might give you an honest feedback and response for that. But it's only from their perspective. And you should take it in like this and learn from it and nurture yourself.
Is it possible without a mentor for somebody to have this path successful? I read an article about the lone wolf and it was also good. However, according to the presentation, it is quite limited that without a mentor, it's 90% not easy to be having this path and maybe
agree.
Successful.
I agree. A mentor is invaluable.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, especially for your style. May I ask, since you mentioned that students in Berlin discussed multiple question tests as a reason of not being satisfied with their education, what's, in your opinion, the best format for examination? Is it testing or oral exam? It's still the best way to deal with the knowledges of the students. Thank you.
Right. Per se, there's none better than the other. It all depends on how we train. So the examination is based on what people or how we train people and what should be there at the end. If it should be just yes and no, okay, then I can have multiple choice questions. But the best examination is where you can have an idea whether the content is really being understood and whether it is up to the level that is required for them to be who they are. So should it just be knowledge that is remembered, or is it applicable knowledge and knowledge that is in a context? So I perhaps need to provide a context for them and find out how to solve this question or this problem, for example. So none is better than the other. It always is part of a teaching concept or a lecturing concept and should fit into that. Maybe we can talk later about that in more detail. Yeah?
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
A very good sharing. A very good sharing for us, especially a lecturer. But I just want to ask, did you write something in the book so that I can bring back to my students?
I have published some articles, yes, on lecturing. Yeah, need to translate that then, but yeah, I can give you the reference for that. Mm-hmm. My pleasure.
Ladies and gentlemen, any more questions? Okay, let us give Christoph Sprung ovations, please.
Thank you.